Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into inner peace and specifically how to navigate those big life changes. Think divorce, the kind of stuff that really shakes you up.
Yeah, those curveballs life throws at you.
Exactly. And to guide us, we've got this amazing letter from Lynette Wortham,
Oh, the founder of True Fulfillment.
the one and only. Now, her story is so relatable. She starts by talking about feeling totally lost after a divorce, like just overwhelmed.
Yeah, like you're in a storm, no clue which way is up.
But here's the thing. She doesn't play the victim, She actually frames that whole experience as a teacher.
Catalyst, yeah. Like forcing her to grow.
And she gets real about it, too. Not just some vague growth stuff, but like really digging deep, stripping away all those expectations she had for herself, all those doubts.
And that's where the Elite Mentorship Forum comes in, right? The EMF.
Yeah, it's a big part of her journey. And she talks about this incredible moment of self-love. Like, she actually writes a letter to herself, almost like it's to God, affirming everything she's good at, her worth.
It's such a powerful example of reframing all that negative self-talk we all do.
Absolutely. It's like she finally sees her own value, and that's the turning point. But here's something else. She makes it clear that healing, it doesn't have to be a solo mission. The EMF, it's all about connecting with other people.
Especially in those community calls she mentions. Huge for her.
Right. Because we tend to isolate ourselves when things get rough.
Yeah, we think we got to go it alone. But her story shows that vulnerability, sharing with others who get it, that's where the healing really kicks in.
It's like that saying, shared joy is doubled, shared sorrow is halved.
Exactly.
And through all that, through the community, that's actually how true fulfillment was born.
A place for others to get that same support, that guidance.
Now, Lynette doesn't just offer some fluffy advice. She gets into specifics, talks about emotions anonymous, the Sedona method, even sacred geometry quantum activations.
Wow, that's quite a mix.
It's like she's saying, here's what worked for me, take it or leave it, but explore what clicks with you. No one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. Find your own path. Speaking of exploring emotions, there's this technique from the EMF program. It's called the Skybox technique. Super intriguing. Uses this sports analogy, really helps explain emotional detachment.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
What's this Skybox technique all about?
Imagine you're at a football game, right? Down on the field. Everything's crazy, intense. You can't even think straight. Now picture going up to the skybox.
Ah, okay, I see where you're going with this.
Suddenly, you have this whole new perspective. You see the entire field, the plays. You can anticipate what's going to happen next.
So how does that apply to, like, our everyday emotions?
Well, when we're stuck in the middle of something, all heated up, our emotions, they cloud our judgment. We react without thinking. Everything feels huge.
We've all been there.
Right. But if we can step back, like into that skybox, get some perspective, then we can actually gain some clarity, some control.
That's fascinating. But doesn't that risk, like, avoiding your problems? Just detaching instead of dealing with them head on?
It's a good point. But it's not about avoiding altogether. It's about taking a breather so you can respond thoughtfully, not just react emotionally. Lynette even used this to cope with her grandmother's death, processing that grief.
Whoa, for grief. That's interesting. How did that even work?
Instead of getting lost in the immediate pain, she was able to detach a bit, see the bigger picture, appreciate the good memories, the lessons, grieve without being totally consumed by it.
This Skybox technique has me thinking. Could be helpful for all sorts of things, even those little annoyances that get us all worked up.
Exactly. It's a tool worth trying out. And it ties in nicely with something else Lynette talks about. Mindful breathing. Might sound familiar, but have you thought about it in terms of controlling your emotions?
Mindful breathing. Oh, you mean just taking those deep breaths? Yeah, I've heard of that. How does Lynette use it, though?
She talks about just sitting quietly, closing your eyes, and focusing on each breath. Inhale deeply, hold it for a bit, exhale slowly. It's more than just the physical part, though. It's about being present in that moment, letting your thoughts and feelings settle.
Like hitting the pause button on all of the mental noise? Definitely could use some of that. What other simple but effective techniques does she talk about?
Well, there's also a morning gratitude practice, listing 3 things you're thankful for each day.
Gratitude. That's a new one for me. How do they help with inner peace?
It shifts your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, you're actively looking at what you already have. It can have a huge impact on how you feel overall, like training your brain to see the good even when things are tough.
So it's not about ignoring the negative, but more like choosing to focus on the positive.
Exactly. And speaking of choosing, she's big on journaling, but not just any journaling. She suggests writing from that skybox perspective.
Oh, right. Instead of just venting your emotions, you're describing the situation from that observer's point of view. Sounds intriguing.
It is. It's about getting curious about your reactions, your emotions, without getting swept away by them. Helps you gain some clarity, some insight, especially in tough situations.
I'm seeing how all these techniques kind of connect, build on each other, like a holistic approach to inner peace, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. And the great thing is, Lynette doesn't just present these things in isolation, she links them back to that bigger goal of creating a fulfilling life. It's not just about feeling calm, it's about living a life that aligns with your purpose, your values.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Lynette's personal journey, why community matters, and some really interesting techniques for finding inner peace. But her story doesn't end there, right? What else does she share?
Oh, there's so much more. She really gets into the nitty-gritty of her journey and the tools she used. Like, remember Emotions Anonymous? We touched on it earlier.
Yeah, the one that sounded kind of like a support group for feelings. What's the main takeaway there?
Well, for Lynette, it provided this structured way to understand and manage her emotions, like a roadmap for that inner world.
So it's not just venting or complaining, it's more about actually processing those emotions in a healthy way.
Exactly. And it highlights something really important. A lot of people struggle with their emotions because they just don't have a framework for understanding them. Emotions Anonymous, it provides that structure. Can be super empowering.
It makes me think of those times when you're just hit with this wave of emotions. You're like, what do I even deal with this?
Yeah.
Having a framework like she found could be huge.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of managing emotions, Lynette also talks about the Sedona method. She's actually a certified facilitator for that.
Right, the one about releasing those negative emotions. How does that work exactly?
It's all about becoming aware of your emotions and then consciously choosing to let go of the ones that aren't serving you. Not suppressing them or pretending they're not there, but actually releasing them with awareness.
So it's not about forcing yourself to be happy all the time, but about being okay with all your emotions, even the negative ones.
Exactly. You have a choice in how you respond to them. You don't have to be controlled by your emotions.
Now, she also mentioned something called sacred geometry quantum activations. That one sounds a little on out there, to be honest.
I know, right? It definitely caught my attention, too. She
Uh,
points to cosmic.care as a resource for that. Doesn't go into a ton of detail in the letter, but it seems like it involves using geometric patterns, energy work for healing and transformation.
so a bit more esoteric than some of the other stuff we've talked about.
Yeah, it seems to be tapping into that more energetic, spiritual side of personal growth.
Which is a good reminder that there's so many different ways to approach inner peace and transformation. What works for one person might not resonate with another, and that's totally fine. It's about finding your own path.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, Lynette also highlights something with a bit more scientific backing. Mindfulness-based stress reduction training, or MBSR.
MBSR. Heard of it, but not exactly sure what it entails.
It's a program that combines mindfulness meditation, gentle yoga, and other body awareness practices, helps people manage stress, reduce anxiety, and cultivate that sense of well-being.
So it's about training your mind and body to be more present, less reactive to all that stress we deal with.
Exactly. It's a powerful approach proven to have all sorts of benefits, both physically and mentally.
You know, what strikes me about all these techniques, from Emotions Anonymous to MBSR, is the emphasis on awareness. Whether it's your emotions, your breath, your body, it seems like that's the foundation for everything else.
That's a great point. Awareness is key. You can't change what you're not aware of, right?
Like that Viktor Frankl quote, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Perfect example. And Lynette really embodies that in her letter. She's not just talking about these techniques, she's actively using them in her own life.
And that's what makes it so relatable. She's sharing her lived experience, not just preaching from some textbook. It makes her insights so much more compelling, inspiring even.
Absolutely. Speaking of relatable, remember how we talked about community support earlier?
Oh yeah, that really stood out to me. It's so easy to isolate yourself when you're going through something tough, but for her, connecting with others was huge.
She talks about the EMF community being this safe space to share her struggles, get support, connect with people who understood what she was going through. She even formed some lasting friendships.
Like finding your tribe, you
Yeah.
know, people who get you at a deeper level. And it's not just about having someone to lean on when things are tough, it's about celebrating your successes, sharing the journey with people who are on a similar path.
Exactly. It's about belonging, feeling connected, and that's something Lynette clearly wants to foster through true fulfillment, creating a space where people feel seen, heard, supported as they go through their own transformation.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Someone who's been through so much pain, so much adversity, using their experience to help others find their way.
It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, doesn't it? And the power of connection.
Now, we've talked about the big picture, her key insights, but I'm curious to dig into some of the specific practices she recommends. We mentioned mindful breathing earlier. What are some other simple but effective techniques people can try out in their daily lives?
Well, along with the mindful breathing, she talks about grounding herself each morning with an inspiring passage, helps set the tone for the day, find some clarity.
Oh, I like that, like starting your day with a positive affirmation or a mantra. What else does she recommend?
Journaling is a big one. She even gives a specific journaling prompt that connects back to that Skybox technique.
Right. Writing about a tough situation from that detached observer's point of view. What other practical tips does she give?
Well, besides the morning gratitude practice and the Skybox journaling, she emphasizes setting boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay, tell me more about that. How does that tie into inner peace?
It's about knowing your limits, learning to say no to things that drain you or just don't align with your values, protecting your time, your energy, your emotional well-being.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone, overcommitting yourself.
Yes.
Leads to burnout, resentment. Setting healthy boundaries, that's crucial for self-care and protecting that inner peace.
Exactly. And speaking of self-care, she also highlights the importance of taking care of your body, eating healthy foods, getting regular exercise.
So it's not just about your mental and emotional well-being, it's also about your physical health.
Exactly. All those aspects are connected. When you take care of your body, you're also taking care of your mind and spirit.
It's a holistic approach, recognizing that true well-being encompasses all parts of ourselves, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Absolutely. And she stresses that this whole transformation thing, it's a process. It's not about reaching some final destination. It's about embracing the journey, the growth, the evolution.
Like they say, life is a journey, not a destination.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And she encourages us to be patient, celebrate our progress, and remember that every experience, even the tough ones, they're all stepping stones.
Easy to get caught up in striving for perfection, comparing ourselves to others, but you gotta remember, everyone's on their own unique path.
And she doesn't just offer this stuff as some abstract idea. She shares personal anecdotes, stories throughout her letter, makes it so much more relatable and engaging.
Like that story about the EMF community call, where someone shared something that really resonated with her, mirrored her own struggles, talked about how validating it was knowing she wasn't alone in her pain.
It's a powerful reminder that even though we all have our own unique experiences, we're connected by our shared humanity.
And she goes on to say, feeling vulnerable, unsure, and asking for help is part of the process.
Such an important message, especially in a culture that often pushes independence, self-reliance. It's okay to ask for help, admit we don't have all the answers. In fact, that takes a lot of strength.
Absolutely. And she also reminds us that offering yourself grace during this journey is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself.
That's beautiful. It's about being kind to ourselves, acknowledging that growth takes time and effort, and celebrating our progress along the way. We're all works in progress, right?
You know, as we're talking about all this, it strikes me how relevant Lynette's story is for anyone facing a major life change, not just divorce, job loss, health crisis, losing a loved one. These principles of self-discovery, community support, finding inner peace, they can apply to anything that throws you off balance.
Absolutely. Her message is universal. It's about finding your way back to wholeness after experiencing any kind of significant disruption.
And she's living proof that it's possible. Not just surviving, but thriving afterwards.
She talks about reclaiming your power, rediscovering your strength, creating a future full of possibilities. But I think what's most powerful is that she doesn't sugarcoat the process.
You mean how she acknowledges the pain, the fear, the uncertainty? It'd be easy to just skip over that and present this picture of perfect bliss once you find inner peace.
Exactly. She's honest about the challenges, those times you feel lost, unsure, and that makes her message so much more powerful. It's okay to feel those things. They're part of the process.
It's like she's giving us permission to be human, to experience all those emotions without judgment. And that's where the tools and practices come in, right? Not to deny those difficult emotions, but to learn how to work with them, to navigate them.
Exactly. It's about building resilience, developing the skills to weather the storms and come out stronger. And it's not just about individual techniques, but about this holistic approach to transformation.
You mean how she talks about self-care, boundaries, support systems?
Yeah.
Recognizing that true inner peace, it requires us to look at every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely. She reminds us it's not a straight line. There'll be setbacks, challenges, doubts, but it's about keeping that vision in mind, that vision of inner peace, fulfillment, and taking those steps forward even when it's hard.
And being kind to ourselves through it all, right? Patience and self-compassion are so important.
Exactly. Celebrating the wins, big or small, recognizing how far we've come, and remembering that every experience, even the tough ones, they all contribute to our growth.
Now, what's interesting is that Lynette doesn't just share her story and insights. She actually invites people to connect with her directly.
Oh, yeah. She encourages readers to schedule a free discovery call to learn more about true fulfillment, see if it's a good fit for them.
Not a hard sell, more like a genuine invitation to start that journey of transformation together. And she even includes some bonus gifts just for taking the time to read her letter.
It's a nice touch, shows how much she cares about supporting people on their path to inner peace.
I'm curious what's resonating with you most from all of this? What's sticking with you?
It's really inspiring, how she combines her personal journey, those practical tools, and that belief in community. It's such a powerful story of transformation, and it feels real, attainable, not like some out-of-touch guru thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about reaching some perfect state of inner peace. It's about creating a life that truly reflects who you are, your values, your purpose.
And that's what makes her story so relevant for anyone going through those big life changes. Divorce is just her example, but it could be anything that turns your world upside down. She shows that you don't just survive, you can actually thrive afterwards.
It's about more than just bouncing back, right? It's about reclaiming your power, your strength, creating a future full of possibilities. And what I appreciate is that she doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
Yeah, how she acknowledges the pain, the fear, the uncertainty. It would be easy to just gloss over that and pretend it's all sunshine and rainbows once you find inner peace.
But that honesty, that's what makes her message so powerful. It's okay to feel those things. It's part of the process.
Like she's saying it's okay to be human, to experience the full range of emotions without judgment.
And that's where the tools and practices come in. Not to deny those difficult emotions, but to learn how to deal with them, how to navigate them in a healthier way.
Exactly. It's about building that inner resilience, developing the skills to handle the tough times and come out stronger. And it's not just about individual techniques, it's about that holistic approach she talks about.
Right, how she emphasizes self-care, boundaries, building the support system. It's all connected. Inner peace requires us to look at every part of our lives.
Absolutely. And she's clear that it's not a linear process. There will be setbacks, doubts, challenges, but it's about keeping that vision of inner peace and fulfillment in mind and taking those steps forward, even when it's hard.
And being kind to ourselves along the way. Patience, self-compassion, those are key.
Absolutely. Celebrate those wins, big and small, and recognize how far you've come. And remember, every experience, even the tough ones, they're all part of the journey.
Now, what's really powerful is that Lynette doesn't just talk about this stuff. She lives it.
She's walking the walk, right?
Yeah,
A living example of what's possible when you commit to this path of transformation.
exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Lynette's letter, I want to leave you with a question, something to reflect on. It's inspired by her Skybox technique. How could shifting your perspective, taking that step back, impact your emotional well-being, your relationships? What new insights or possibilities might you discover when you detach from the intensity of a situation and view it from that higher vantage point?
It's a powerful question, one that I hope you'll take some time to really explore.
We hope you found this deep dive into Lynette's story insightful and inspiring. And remember, you have the power to create a life filled with peace, purpose, and true fulfillment. Until next time.